I hated it. When I see a certain person, let's say a male adult, that does not respect a young boy, well, I see to it to fix that person.
Lopez said he couldn't go to the police. Rarely did they do anything about the plight of a gamín. After the incident, he said he went outside only at night. Another time when Lopez was 10, he said he was approached by an elderly American couple living in Bogota. He said they offered him a home because the sight of him begging on the street broke their hearts. According to Lopez, the couple enrolled him in a school for orphans. For a couple of years, he led a stable life, but his good fortune did not last. When he was 12 years old, a male teacher sexually molested him at his school. Lopez stole money from the school's office and ran away from the couple who had taken him in. He returned to the only thing he knew, Bogota's violent streets.
What did the gamín do? So that is what I declare, that I am 31 years old and I have led a backward life, disoriented, that I have been without support and help, but what mostly I needed was support.
Lopez lived on the streets of Bogota for 13 years. In 1969, at age 21, he was arrested for stealing a car. After only 2 days behind bars, he was brutally raped by 2 older inmates. In retaliation, Lopez fashioned a crude knife out of a prison utensil and murdered his rapists.
When I was locked up in Colombia, I was taught how to defend myself. I don't deny that in Cárcel Modelo, I killed 2 in there, but the warden said, don't worry.
Authorities deemed the murders self-defense. No extra prison time was added to Lopez's sentence. But these murders were the beginning of a new chapter in Lopez's violent life. He swore he would never be a victim again, and he vowed to seek his own brand of justice for all he'd endured. At age 23, Pedro Alonso Lopez was released from prison and went on the hunt. In 1971, 23-year-old Pedro Alonso Lopez was released after serving 2 years for car theft. He had endured an abusive home, the violent streets of Colombia, and a prison rape. Now, he wanted revenge. He began by searching for easy targets in towns in Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru.
Gente de raza indígena y humilde.
They were poor, indigenous people, street vendors. These were the types of little girls that he chose. The poorest kids who have lesser education. He never chose white people.
Gente de raza blanca.
Lopez would pose as a salesman and approach girls between 8 and 12 years old.
He would appeal to them and he would tell them, I'm lost, could you help me find the way to the bus? Could you help me find the way out of the town?
Lopez relied on his charm to draw the girls away. He never physically kidnapped any of his victims.
He would show himself like helpless, so the children would trust him a little bit more. After that, he would take them to a place where if the children would scream, they wouldn't be heard.
First, he would sexually assault them.
He slept all night with her and then raped her again in the morning and then killed her. He would spend a long time with them.
Incredibly, he would later claim that he was helping his victims.
He said he strangled them so they would go to heaven, so that they wouldn't suffer in this world.
In this way, Lopez murdered dozens of girls, and yet his crimes received little attention, and he killed again and again.
After a cooling off period, he would look for his next victim. and do it over and over again to satisfy his urges and his fantasies.
In April 1979, he made his way to Ambato, Ecuador, looking for more victims. He met 11-year-old Hortensia Garces Lozada while she was selling newspapers.
My mom was pregnant at the time, and when she sold newspapers, she saved money to be able to provide for my brother.
On May 5th, 1979, Lopez asked Hortensia to be his guide in the city and gave her 100 sucres, about $10 US. He led her to the outskirts of town underneath a bridge, and then he raped her, beat her, and strangled her. He threw her body into a ditch and covered it with the same newspapers she'd been selling. When Hortensia didn't come home, her father Leonidas searched for her.
She was out there somewhere, but I didn't find her. I couldn't find her.
Although dozens of girls had been reported missing, police insisted the girls were runaways and did nothing to help the grieving families.
The police are against the people. They saved him.
Here in this country, only the rich people have access to the police, to justice.
Lopez soon found another victim in Ambato, 9-year-old Ivanova Jacome. But this time, he went after the wrong target. Ivanova was the daughter of a successful baker.
The
day my daughter disappeared was February 14, 1980 at 11 in the morning. I had a bakery in the Avenida de los Andes, and I had a branch office about 15 blocks away. My daughter sometimes came to bring me something to eat. That day, I waited for her, and she never came.
Because Carlos Jacome was a respected businessman, when he reported his daughter missing, the police responded. Soon news of the other missing girls began to spread.
I took out flyers. I spread them all over Ecuador asking for information, but we didn't find out anything.
22 days later, on March 8th, the police recovered a little girl's body in a wooden shack on La Florida, a farm near town.
Some radio reporters came to my house and they said, "Carlos, a body of a little girl has been found." And so I went to the hospital morgue, and that's when I went in and I saw my daughter. I'm still devastated. For me, it was very tragic.
News coverage warned the citizens of Ambato of a killer in their midst. As a result, Lopez was captured by townspeople after he attempted to kidnap a girl from the Plaza Urbina. That same day, the Jacome family buried Ivanova.
That is when we knew who the criminal was. As of that day, things were discovered, and he began to say that there were cadavers here, and there were cadavers there, and there were cadavers in the other provinces.
Pedro Lopez's reign of terror was over. He willingly showed police 57 bodies, and based on his confessions, was charged with 110 counts of murder. He claimed to have committed 200 more.
I am the worst of the worst. Perhaps I took it too far because of my ignorance. The low of the low. Perhaps even a complete animal.
But as the case went to trial, victims' families feared justice would not be served. This seemingly mad killer had, in fact, been carefully plotting his crimes. And he knew that the laws of Ecuador were on his side.
If somebody killed one person, or killed 100, or killed 1,000, he would receive the same sentence.